But getting back to my reservations on the remake, it didn't really have anything to do with the fact that they were remaking the movie. It was due to the fact that who are they gonna get to play Chucky? Because Brad Dourif's performance is iconic. He's that franchise's Robert Englund. He's amazing. Like, his vocal performance is brilliant. Like, without Brad Dourif, that I don't think that franchise would have worked. And, because he's such a great villain and such a funny, and you strangely root for him in many ways. But I have to say that a large amount of the success has to go to Brad Dourif, and sort of the continuing success of that goes to Don Mancini, to keeping the gears on the franchise going. Like, he's helmed every movie, and he's done very well with that, and especially behind the director's chair in the last couple of films. And Seed of Chucky did some pretty good things there as well. But I was thinking of the remake, like, who are they going to get? And when they announced that it was Mark Hamill going to do it, I was like, oh, of course, an excellent choice. Like, he's perfect. I'm now open to see this movie and seeing what Mark Hamill is going to bring to it. And I really enjoyed Mark Hamill's take on the character. And it's not like a person possessing the doll. It's an artificial intelligence that becomes self-aware and goes haywire. And he's really one of the best voice actors of his generation. Not just in Star Wars or anything like that. I've seen him in episodes of the Batman the Animated Series. He's fantastic as the Joker. There's a little Joker laugh in one moment in the movie, and he was such a great choice. And I think he brought a little bit of nuance to the character. And I like with this movie where all these things with the doll, the buddy doll. In the original, it's the good guy doll. In this one, it's the buddy doll. The buddy doll has all these elements that make it part of the house, and it's this smart doll. It's a bit like an Alexa, but it walks and it moves, and it has big fucking eyes that creep the shit out of me. And all that security gets taken away, and it forms this connection with Gabriel Bateman's Andy. Andy is this slightly lonely kid. He doesn't like his mom's dick boyfriend. He doesn't really have that many friends. He doesn't want to go outside. He has a slight disability. He's deaf in one ear, which makes his character feel very, you form you empathize with the kid. And he forms this bond with Chucky, and every time, and Chucky is like, we're friends to the end. I'm your, I will protect you. We'll play all the time and all that stuff. But because that all the security of the doll has been taken away because of, which you see in the beginning of the movie, he doesn't know that what he's doing to sort of protect his friend is wrong. And Mark Hamill brings this childlike aspect to the voice and to the character. And when he does something really bad, he's doing it as a way of sticking up for his best friend without really realizing, no, dude, you don't do that, no, and everything. And it's that aspect of the technological fear that we have over the cloud and all that crap is used quite well in the movie, and how technology can be the best thing for us, but also the worst thing for us as well. And I think that element made the movie feel very interesting, and I liked that aspect. I think they did that very well without having to do like a straight remake of the first movie, or like doing a different, looking at like some of the movies that Platinum Dunes made, like the Friday the 13th remake, or the Hitcher remake, or Amityville Horror, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I kind of liked, and also the Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Those movies, they basically took elements that worked in the original films and brought them into their film. So they were just cherry picking elements that they liked and putting it in. So it didn't feel very new and fresh. And this one, it had a bit of an 80s throwback style to it, and they have a scene where they're watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which I thought was quite humorous, and I think they have a little few references thrown into the movie as well, and particularly in one kill in the film. But it was trying to be its own thing, and it does stand on its own. And I like a remake that tries to do something a little bit different. Like, I mean, the Pet Sematary remake, which came out recently, is very similar to the first one, which came out in 1989, and I like that film. I think they did a pretty good job with that, and the book is fantastic as well, written by Stephen King. But they do like one little change in the film, which I think some people didn't really like, but I really liked. I was on board with that. I think they did really well to make it different from what we saw before, that would surprise us and catch us off guard. And I was watching it going like, oh no, that's a good idea. Granted, the movie doesn't quite stick the landing, but I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed this one as well. I had some issues with it, the Child's Play film. Mainly it felt very rushed. The editing, it was very quick to get to certain places, and it didn't leave you a chance to breathe a little bit, or it felt very jarring. And I think it was very it almost felt like a bit like they left out a chunk of the film. I don't know. I just felt like there were some scenes that were missing. Maybe they took them out for pacing purposes, or they just wanted to keep it really short and sweet. But I felt like there needed to be some little scenes to kind of bridge certain gaps a little bit that felt very like, oh, that was weird. That was very jarring. So that for me was a little bit of an issue. I like that they went practical with the doll, like putting the doll in the scene with Gabriel Bateman and all the other actors. I think it's times they use a little bit of CGI, but I like that they have the actual doll, moving and doing all this sort of stuff. Like it gives the actors something to work with instead of looking at a piece of cardboard and being, that's the doll. Be scared of it, kid. You can do it. Or something like that. So, yeah, I think not the worst remake in the world. Definitely not the most unnecessary remake in the world. I think, fans of Child's Play will like this film. It's a very, like I said, it's very different from the original films, but it stands on its own and it is its own thing. And it could, there could be a sequel to this movie. But that's all down to if this one becomes a box office success at the end of its cinematic run, and seeing how much DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever it sells. But yeah, I'm also excited to see what Don Mancini's going to do next. I hope that they do this TV show, or at least do another film. I think at some point they should stop while the going gets tough a little bit, or just stop where. I just think with the last one, Cult of Chucky, they added some new elements to it, which I felt were interesting, but it didn't mesh well with what we already had before. And I had to really wrap my head around certain elements that they brought into it and introduced. So maybe I need to watch it again. But it had all those elements that I liked with. The Child's Play films, they brought back Jennifer Tilly as Tiffany. They brought back Alex Vincent as Andy Barclay, the original child actor from the first movie. And, of course, Brad motherfucking Dourif, who is fantastic as Chucky. And Mark Hamill was great. I think his voice, the way that he portrayed that character, worked really well in this film. I think it was very well directed. I think there were certain elements where I felt like I think maybe the movie could have been stretched out a little bit more, like I said, with the editing, and, it was very well shot. It was very moody. The atmosphere was really good. It felt very intense. You were on edge. It felt like a real proper horror film with some little dark humor thrown in there. Maybe it changed the tone a little bit, but, it worked quite well. And maybe some of the characters could have been fleshed out a little bit more. But, not the worst horror movie I've seen. Definitely not the best. It was, it was fun. It was pretty good. It was entertaining, and that's kind of what you want. And I like that there's some different types of horror films that are coming out this year. And, we had the Pet Sematary film. We had The Curse of La Llorona. which I didn't see, which is another Conjuring film, and then you had Annabelle Comes Home, which I haven't seen yet, but I've heard is okay. And I'm looking forward to some of the other horror films that are coming out this year. It Chapter 2, Doctor Sleep, which I'm also looking forward to as well. The sequel to The Shining. That could be interesting. Mike Flanagan's directing it, so he's the guy that did Hush and Gerald's Game, and he knows how to direct horror, and he knows how to do it very well. So I'm positive that could be a pretty good movie. But anyway, thank you so much to listen and watch me go on about the Child's Play remake. Do check out the rest of what we have on our YouTube channel. I promise to add more to it soon and keep adding sort of stuff. Maybe I'll talk about more horror films. Maybe I'll talk about some other stuff as well. Maybe it won't be reviews. Maybe it'll be some other stuff, like we did a commentary where we were watching Face Off. That was a few years ago. I really want to try and find another film and do a commentary with Adam and film us watching it, and show little snippets from that one as well. So yeah, do check that out. Subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts. You can follow us on Stitcher, Podomatic, SoundCloud, TuneIn. You can follow us on Twitter at Holmes Movies Pod. You can follow me on Twitter at Fabricius91, FABRICIUS91. And you can send us an email to holmesmoviespodcast@gmail.com. And I'm also on Instagram, Anders F. Holmes. And Adam is also on Instagram as well, adam.h.f.holmes. So do check us out, and do come back again and check out more stuff and more content that we're going to do. Thank you very much. I've been Anders Holmes. I've been talking about Child's Play, the new Child's Play remake. Have a good day.